friends, Ginny D here, and just the other day I was thinking about DMing tabletop games and how challenging it is. I feel like in the general tabletop discourse online, I often see DMs who are frustrated or feeling unappreciated or just struggling to really get on the same page with their players. I have both DM'd and played, and learning firsthand how difficult it is to DM has definitely made me more appreciative of the DMs in my life. But not every player has tried DMing, and until you've done it, it can be really hard to understand exactly what it's like. So I decided to ask the DMs of Twitter what they wish their players knew about DMing in hopes of maybe helping bridge that gap a little. The thread immediately exploded, and despite over 500 replies, the vast majority of them fell into the same handful of categories. So without further ado, here are the 10 things DMs wish their players knew. DMs are improvising a lot of the time. No matter how much prep a DM does, it's almost guaranteed that their players will do something that they didn't expect on some level. That means that when you ask for a shopkeeper's name, or if there's a local library, or you cast Speak with Plants to chat with a nearby bush, your DM is probably flying by the seat of their pants. So what does this mean for players? Beyond just recognizing and appreciating how difficult that is, it's also important to cut your DM a little bit of slack. Be ready to suspend your disbelief and be flexible if something that your DM pulled out of thin air isn't fully researched or fully fleshed out. Second, many DMs requested that players take their own notes and don't expect the DM to remember every single thing they've ever said. They might not remember the name of the city guardsman that they didn't expect you to talk to 4 sessions ago, so if it's important to you to know it, maybe you should write it down. DMs are on your side. Despite the common jokes about DMs trying to kill their players and the adversarial nature of the fact that the DM plays the monsters and the bad guys, a ton of replies to my thread were just DMs who wanted to make sure that their players knew that they were rooting for them. They don't want to ruin the game for you, they want you to have fun, and they want you to succeed. Of course, they also want your success to feel earned, so of course they're going to put obstacles in your path. But in the end, most DMs are on your side. With that in mind, while many of the characters that your DM plays may be your enemies, you should just remember that your DM is not the enemy. It sucks for DMs to bend over backwards to try and provide a fun game and run challenging and interesting combat, only to have their players angry at them or mean to them for basically doing their job. DMs are so worried about doing a good job. One thing I heard over and over is that DMs feel insecure and anxious. Many DMs feel nervous before every single session, even if they've been DMing for a long time. And there was a lot of talk of the sort of DMing hangover that can come afterwards, where they rehash the session in their mind, thinking about everything that they did wrong. It sounds like a ton of DMs are scared that their players aren't having fun. The biggest thing that you as a player can do to combat this is to give your DM feedback. If you had fun, tell them that you had fun, and tell them exactly what you enjoyed so much. Be enthusiastic about sessions, engaged in the game, and please, for the love of God, participate in scheduling and show up for sessions. Your DM works so hard to put this game on for you, so make sure that they know that you appreciate it. DMs do way more prep than you will ever see. Your DM doesn't know what you're gonna do or where you're gonna go in any given session. So if they prep 3 towns and you only visit 1, that doesn't change the hours of work that went into those 2 towns that you might never see. You might only be thinking about D&D while you're playing it, but DMs don't have that luxury. Many of them work all week on lore and NPCs and maps and terrain and encounters, committing hours and hours to making sure that they are prepared to give you a fun and exciting session. This doesn't mean that you should feel restricted by whatever you think your DM prepared or wants you to do. But before you skip over a whole city or encounter, or express frustration at something that your DM didn't do, just be aware of how much work they're putting in behind the scenes and have a little understanding. By the way, this video is sponsored by Ghostfire Gaming and their 5th edition Dark Fantasy campaign setting, Grim Hollow. Grim Hollow takes place in the world of Itharis, which has been taken over by darkness. Humanity is struggling to survive against wild creatures, supernatural threats, a widespread plague called the Weeping Pox, and of course their fellow humans. If you love dark fantasy and you like the idea of being one of the few remaining warriors fighting to save humanity, Grim Hollow is going to be right up your alley. It includes new backgrounds and spells and feats, a fully fleshed out world, and a complete new pantheon of gods. I can't decide if I'm more excited about the mechanics for transformations, where players can become aberrant horrors or liches or lycanthropes, or the introduction combination of curses, which are powerful spells fueled by dark emotions that can do stuff like make someone age rapidly or have chronic bad luck or lose memories of the ones they love. You can get Grim Hollow either in PDF or hardcover form at the link in the description, as well as a ton of cool accessories like spell and ability cards, a gorgeous Grim Hollow DM screen, and even a set of 50 real metal coins of Itharis. Check out the description for the link. DMing is incredibly draining. It can be exhausting to be on for an entire 3 or 4 or 5 hour session. Your DM is managing information, both the stuff they convey to you and the stuff they have to be aware of behind the scenes. They're performing as different NPCs, they're answering your questions, they're strategizing, sometimes as multiple combatants, doing math, keeping track of status conditions. This might mean that your DM needs a break mid-session, or is really wiped out afterwards and needs to be alone, or it might mean that they need a week off every once in a while. Maybe it just means that they would appreciate your understanding or your help if they ever lose track of something or have to look something up. Just remember that during a session, they are keeping a lot of balls in the air. DMs want to have fun too. It can be easy to lose sight of this because by nature, tabletop games are super involved and a lot of people take them very seriously, but in the end, it is a game and all of you are playing, DM included. That means that your DM wants to have fun too. They want to land some nasty hits in combat, they want to roll a natural 20 sometimes, or successfully stun or paralyze somebody. They want to have interesting conversations with players as NPCs. Just like you wouldn't want to take these things away from your fellow players, try not to take them away from your DM. They have just as much right to have fun playing the game as anybody else. DMs love when you roleplay amongst yourselves. Your DM is leading the group in telling a story together, not telling a story to you. If you just sit back and expect your DM to play the game at you for 4 hours, that's a lot to ask of them. Plenty of DMs expressed that they love when their players spend some time having conversations amongst themselves. When players settle in for a long lore discussion or to play drunken truth or dare together, that can give the DM a much needed break to rest their voice and their brain for a minute. Plus, it can give your DM great insight into what both you and your characters are thinking, what you're interested in, and what you're planning. DMs are working so hard to make sure you have fun. Whether it's creating interesting NPCs or designing a challenging and exciting combat encounter or laying out the breadcrumbs for a fun mystery, DMs told me that they are working their asses off to make sure that players have a good time. It is their absolute top priority. That's why it can be so painful to look up and see players distracted or checking their phones or just visibly disinterested. Your DM might not always hit the mark. Nobody's perfect, and maybe sometimes a session just won't quite land for everyone, and that's fine. But DMs in my thread wanted to make sure that their players knew that even when they don't succeed, they're trying their very best to run an enjoyable game. DMs need your help to run a great game. No matter how hard your DM works, they can't make a game great by themselves. The fun of the session really relies on player participation. Your DM can only do so much without your help. It's not fair to rely on your DM to provide a fantastic campaign all on their own. If you want to have a great game and tell a great story, DMs wanted to remind you that you have to be a part of that. It's a team effort, so make sure you're doing your part. DMs really want to play sometimes. So many of the people in my replies talked about the curse of being forever a DM, never a player. DMing can be rewarding and fun in its own ways, but it is undeniably so much harder. There's a responsibility that comes with DMing, and sometimes DMs want to be able to let go of that responsibility for a bit. Whether that means you're stepping up to run a whole campaign or just offering to run a one-shot, most DMs would be overjoyed at the opportunity to step out from behind the DM screen every once in a while. DMs, what do you think? Did you agree with this list? Anything that you might want to add? And players, what about you? I would love to hear all of your thoughts in the comments. One last thing, don't forget about my tabletop gaming inspired 2021 calendar, which is currently open for pre-orders. After pre-orders end, which will likely be in late November, calendars will become while supplies last and might conceivably sell out in the month of December. You can learn more at ginnyd.com/calendar.